Hello and welcome to Football Daily, where today we're looking at 10 of the worst results in world football. 10. Portugal 0, Cape Verde 2. What a difference a year can make. Now the mastermind behind Portugal's first international trophy, Fernando Santos was a laughingstock in March 2015 when his side lost 2-0 to Cape Verde. The minnows just off the coast of Africa scored with their only 2 shots on target, and although Portugal weren't full strength, they still had some recognisable stars playing for them, such as Cedric, Andre Gomes, João Mario and Adrian Silva. It was only a friendly though, and after Portugal's heroics in France, we're not sure people are laughing at this result anymore. 9. Lincoln Red Imps 1, Celtic 0. Does anyone actually know if Lincoln Red Imps are an actual football team? Judging by Celtic's performance in the Champions League qualifiers, you'd have to wonder whether they are either. Hoops fans must have been rubbing their hands together when they got drawn with the Gibraltarian semi-professional side, Lincoln Red Imps. Under the managerial genius of Brendan Rodgers and with the good looks and finishing ability of Lee Griffiths, it looks set to be a stroll in the park for the boys. It didn't quite turn out that way, as Celtic failed to score against the part-timers and lost to a goal scored by Lee Casciaro, a policeman who lined up alongside such star players as Roy Cipollina, a customs officer, and Jean Carlos Garcia, a labourer. 8. Chelsea 2, Bradford 4. The FA Cup is known for frequent upsets, and the competition in 14-15 didn't disappoint. Bradford overcame Millwall in a replay to earn a match against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and Mourinho put out a relatively strong side, including the likes of Cech, Zuma, Cahill, Oscar, Salah and Drogba. Chelsea were 2-0 up after 40 minutes and looked set to go through to the 5th round comfortably. The Bantams had other ideas however, and Big John Stead got them back into the game just before half-time, but the magic of the FA Cup was yet to come. Marais got the equaliser in the 75th before Halliday and Yates sealed the deal on a historic night for Bradford at Stamford Bridge, once considered a fortress under Mourinho. Bradford went on to reach the 6th round, before their cup run was ended by Reading. 7. Germany 1, England 5. Germany might actually have to thank England for spanking them 5-1 on their own turf, as it was this result that inspired Das Reboot, a total rehaul of the German youth system which has resulted in a World Cup win in 2014. At the time though, we can't imagine the Germans were too ecstatic about not only being humiliated by long-time rivals, but also allowing a striker of Emil Heskey's calibre to score against them. Michael Owen bagged a hat-trick in this game on his way to winning the Ballon d'Or in 2001. The quality of Germany's side then was way lower than what it is now, but it's arguably the opposite story for England, so Germany may have lost the battle, but they won the war. 6. Barcelona 5, Madrid 0. Pep versus Mourinho now takes place in Manchester, but the rivalry between arguably the 2 best managers in the world started in Spain, with El Clásicos taking on a sharper edge when the Portuguese and Catalan faced off. The 2010-11 season was Mourinho's first campaign in charge of Los Blancos, and it was a season full of frustration for the Portuguese. His first taste of El Clásico was not a great one, being the victim of a 5-0 defeat at the Camp Nou. Everything went wrong for Jose, all but 3 of Real's starters got booked with Sergio Ramos getting sent off, what a shock, and Mesut Ozil hauled off at half-time. David Villa scored twice and the long-forgotten Heffren finished the scoring in the 90th minute. Barca truly treated Madrid like they were relegation fodder. 5. Manchester United 1, Manchester City 6. A result that caused a real power shift in Manchester. City fans can point to this result as the moment which spurred the Sky Blues onto their first ever Premier League title. Mario Balotelli got things underway with 2 goals after an hour, but the game was still respectable for United on 89 minutes at 3-1 to City. But Dzeko added 2 and Silva got 1, all in injury time to compound the misery at Old Trafford. A total destruction of an Alex Ferguson United side was rare, and City went on to frustrate their rivals further by nicking a last-gasp winner against QPR on the final day of the season to win the title on goal difference. A season United fans truly wish had never happened. 4. Bayern 7, Barca 0 on aggregate. 2013 was a fantastic year for Bayern Munich. They announced that they were hiring Guardiola, they strolled to a league title with a 25-point margin and ended up winning the Champions League final against rivals Dortmund to complete the treble. But one of the standout moments of that season was when they destroyed Barcelona 7-0 over 2 legs. Lionel Messi was the main subject of attention as there were severe doubts over his fitness, and he was clearly not 100% in the first match, while only making the bench in the second. Bayern battered Barca 4-0 in the first leg thanks to a Thomas Müller brace, and once again the German got on the score sheet in the away leg to secure a 3-0 victory. Tito Villanova's side were completely humbled, and it's a result that will haunt Barca forever. 3. Man United 8, Arsenal 2. The match that caused Arsene Wenger to host his own footballing version of Supermarket Sweep, Arsenal's battering by United at Old Trafford, is quite possibly the most embarrassing event Arsene's had to witness during his time in England. After the summer where Fabregas and Nasri left the Gunners, Arsenal went into the game with a woefully weak side, which included the likes of Jenkinson, Armand Traoré and a very young Francis Coquelin. Considering how inexperienced the side was, a 3-1 score at half-time didn't seem entirely catastrophic. But things went to shit pretty quickly, the scoreline spiralling up to 6-1 after 70 minutes, and Ashley Young of all people capped the result with an 8th in injury time. Traoré's performance in particular was so bad that shortly after his move to QPR, he pleaded with the fans not to judge him on that game. Unfortunately for them, he was just as bad in pretty much every match for the Hoops thereafter. 2. Brazil 1, Germany 7. There were signs of an apocalypse in Belo Horizonte as Thiago Silva found himself suspended and Neymar injured for their match against Die Mannschaft. But Brazil fans didn't expect there to be such a massacre on home turf. Within the first 29 minutes, Brazil were losing 5-0 in the semi-final in the World Cup in their own backyard. If that wasn't enough, Mats Hummels revealed after the game that the Germans agreed to stay focused and not try to humiliate them. Perhaps Hummels thought that he sounded like a gentleman after the match. Instead, he came across as a patronising. Tears flowed freely in the Estadio Mineral and fights broke out in the stands. Fred, who was pretty much useless all tournament, cemented his place in infamy as his positional heat map showed he spent most of his time in the centre circle due to the number of times he had to kick off. 1. The Alcorconazo. One of the darkest days in Madrid's history, their 4-0 defeat to Alcorcon in the Copa del Rey tops our list as the most humiliating defeat in football. A bumper crowd of 3,000 packed into the Estadio Santo Domingo to watch third-tier Alcorcon battle it out against a rather stacked Madrid side. The stars in Pellegrini's team were Benzema, Guti, Raúl and Van der Vaart, while also bringing on Marcelo, Gago and Van Nistelrooy when things were going tits up. Arbeloa also played, not that he'd want to remember it as he scored an own goal. Borja Perez won man of the match and netted 2 goals, impressing so much that he got a move to the mighty Kilmarnock a couple of years later. The absolute worst thing about it, Madrid only managed 1 goal in the second leg. Tragic.
So those were the 10 most humiliating defeats in football history, but who's